Ending in 6-9, Alan Blazenstein, citizen.
What was the name?
Alan.
Another call in. Phone number ends in 28. What is your name? And we just had a caller with the last.
I thought Colin was coming. He sent some input yesterday for the network. He didn't say he wasn't coming. Maybe wait till 5 after. And Dan Firestone, who we would be waiting for. Dan has had some issues.
I can't seem to get this.
Jill, do you see?
I have my little laptop here, but all my work I do on my.
So I think we can probably get started. Welcome to the meeting of the West Hartford Pedestrian and Bicycle Commission. We'll come to order at 7:04. Daniel, do you want to call the roll?
Sure. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. So Daniel Johnson, that's me, I'm present. Colin Gillespie.
Here and present.
Welcome. Denise Gutierrez.
Here and present, sorry.
Daniel Firestone. Livingston is not going to be here. Paul Hogan II.
Here.
Jill Morowski.
Here.
Hello. Ryan Nobrega.
Here.
Welcome, Ryan. And Chair Sandy Fry.
Here. Okay, first order of business is approval of our previous meeting's minutes, which those were sent out to you. Did anybody have any comments or any corrections to those? Hearing none, I think based on what we heard at the last meeting, I think we can accept them as they were sent out. Just have that in the minutes, accept them as they were sent out because there were no comments. Or do you want us to do a motion in a second, Daniel and Denise? Past and future secretaries, or current and future.
So for last meeting, I believe we could, if you say, if does anybody object to the meeting minutes, and if there's no objection, then they're approved. Is that correct?
I think that's how it was.
Okay.
Yeah. Are there any objections to accepting the meeting minutes as were sent out? All right, we'll accept them as approved. Thank you. Now, old business, first item of business is election of officers. We had nominations for chair and secretary, Daniel Johnson as chair, Denise Gutierrez as secretary. Dan Firestone is the vice chair at this point, and we didn't really discuss that last time. So I think we'll assume he wants to continue in that role unless we hear otherwise at a future meeting. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
No, thanks for pointing that out, Sandy, and thanks, Daniel. I reopened my packet of welcome to public service that we get when we first sign up, so I was reading through that. So I'm glad Daniel's the vice chair. I don't have any questions on that.
All right, are there any further nominations from the floor before we vote on the slate? Are there any objections to the slate of officers as presented? Okay, Daniel, it is all yours.
All right, thank you very much. Just I got a high five. Thanks, Ryan. Does that mean I take the floor as chair for the meeting?
That is correct. You are now chair. Thank you.
And no one's stormed my building today, so very excited for that. So we'll move on. Thank you everyone for the approval as chair. Look forward to working with you more closely. And going back, it's nice to have these videos recorded on YouTube. You can always go back and look at what you said and reflect on what you're supposed to do next. And I do appreciate that accountability of a recorded conference. So with that, I'll work to consolidate our materials so we understand existing policies, work with you guys to hear feedback and input as much as possible. More feedback as well from the town, as I believe the survey that we're going to issue out will be a huge addition to that, to hear from residents in a different way, different medium. And going forward, if we can carve out some time, so going through what's allowed so far as a meeting with commission members, I think reviewing existing materials just for understanding does not constitute as a meeting. And I think that's going to be good for myself as well as anybody else who wants to set aside some time during the week to just review, complete streets policy, any bike pedestrian policies that the town has issued. David Beers has been also, he's a resident, but very helpful for pointing us in directions where we can find policy. So if you ever want to get together and refresh on, what's currently in the town of West Hartford, I think that's a great learning opportunity for myself as well as you. So just want to put that out there going forward. And with that, I don't know if we're allowed to open up for feedback, but anything you want me to work on through the next 2021, through this calendar year.
I'll start. If this is an open forum about things to work on for the coming year, I think taking the time to create our 5 to 7 priorities, or reinvigorate and realign on those, and then keeping track of them by certain dates. So, we want to achieve this by then, this by then, this by then. I think would be good to keep us on track, monitor, course correct, but also celebrate.
All right, thank you.
I I second that idea, and hope we could put near the top of those that list, somewhere near the top, the bike lane, the facilities map, and working really constructively and maybe assertively with the town to designate what they're going to see as the major, slow lanes or safe lanes for cyclists. It seems to me it's on their minds now, and what better time to follow up than this year?
Okay, I agree. Thank you. And if residents as well, callers on the line, just want to put it open that as new chair, I'm open to feedback. Any questions you have, you can reach out to me, and candid as you want. So no need to put it politely if there's a real big concern. So thank you. So moving down the agenda, election of officers. So just to confirm, so Denise, you will be the new secretary for the commission.
You asking me? Yeah. I mean,
Okay. Was that a surprise? I thought we talked about that last time, so I just want to make sure we got that right.
again, are you asking me or are you asking for a vote?
So on that,
She's already made her secretary. She can now decline because she misunderstood, but I think you are secretary, Denise. Are you busily taking notes?
Yeah, I was.
okay.
That's what I thought. I thought it looked like you were writing.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, could I don't know if this is out of order, so I'm going to go for it. It would be really cool, since y'all are two new heads of state, to get someone in like West Hartford News or something to call it out. It'll be a good opportunity to showcase two individuals who are young leaders, and also we could maybe talk to our agenda a little bit. But it'll be a piece of news.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and it's always good to put more focus back on the commission and what we're doing. So thanks, Colin.
Yeah, it's just a way to get it up on the PR mill, because they'll go, oh yeah, we got new folks, and even maybe give a little shout out to Sandy.
Oh, yep, absolutely. All right, moving forward the agenda. So Bicycle Network, result of input from commission members. We received a lot of feedback from everyone on the commission.
You have that email summary, Daniel, that I had sent out yesterday, I think. I got one more input, but it didn't really change the way things fell.
One second, when my internet came down, everything refreshed. So far from the commission, prioritization of roadways that should be part of the bike network. This is, what's what we're looking for? This is something that it's aspirational in a sense. So we're not looking at the budget. We're not looking at how much it's going to cost. These are really great aspirations that the town should strive for. So the north-south routes that were identified were Main Street. So that's North Main Street, South Main Street, Prospect Avenue, and Mountain and Ridgewood Road. Those are the top three. Also for consideration is Steel and Oakwood, Quaker, Troutbrook, and King Philip. So for east to west, the top three, slide 4, Farmington Avenue, New Britain Avenue, Albany Avenue, and Sedgwick and Park. And for a few other votes, we have Asylum and Fern Street. So everyone agrees on Farmington Avenue. We look at like a farm, an aspirational east to west that brings the most amount of traffic, but also a lot of businesses through that strip to get from, Farmington to Hartford, and a great connector route as well. North and South Main Street is at the top of the list. The nice part with that is we're working on the road diet project going forward. And this seems to be a route that is always a topic of discussion. What's interesting to me is Prospect. I think it's a great north-south route personally, just because it's on the line between Hartford and West Hartford. It is a great north-south route, and not always looked at as a bike route, but the more I think about it, the more that has a lot of potential to be a great north-south connector. And Mountain and Ridgewood Road, again, these are aspirational. So looking here,
one thing, Daniel, I just thought of when you said Prospect. I'm not sure West Hartford controls Prospect. I think the city might. I know the city has responsibility for the signals. The city puts speed bumps in on Prospect. So that might be one we want to think a little more about if it doesn't actually fall under West Hartford. So there should be another possible.
all right. So I'll send that back out.
Sorry about that.
Yep, I'll send it back out so we could tailor that and look into whether that's a city. And you say city of Hartford, correct?
Yeah, I'll check on that. I do believe it goes over to the curb, like from curb to curb is city
Right.
of Hartford.
Yeah. Okay.
Which, if we were looking at the next highest, it was Steel Oakwood, but really with very few votes.
Yeah.
What comes to mind in these is what criteria you make to their proximity. So if you're trying to create conduits, not having them right next to each other, but away from each other, and that's where Main, Mountain, and Prospect seems to be the most interesting, because they're spaced out. So Trout Brook and Main seem too close. So I'm just throwing that out there as we start to consider others. I don't know what the answer is, but that makes me think of moving over to Quaker Oakwood.
Okay. Yeah, I was surprised to see Albany on the list. Not because it's a bad east-west route, but my understanding was that it's a state road, and I didn't think we had any influence on that so far as how much we could do for development aspirationally on it. Do you know anything about that, Sandy? Am I on mute?
Isn't that true of New Britain as well? I wasn't really looking into that, but I feel like in one of these meetings, someone has mentioned, maybe it was,
Yeah, they both are state roads, Albany and New Britain, but that doesn't mean that we can't influence the design. So it's a little different than like where Prospect is a city of Hartford roadway. A state roadway that goes through a town has some influence. And we may find as we go down the road, like those two really aren't going to move because they're state roads, and then maybe we look at alternates.
Yeah, I agree. So any other input from the commission members? I know we chatted through email, but anything that popped out while looking at this map?
It's Jill. I just wanted to reiterate that we should follow up on this. It seems they're keen on knowing these routes, and I think we should follow up and find out what more they need and what their next step is. What are they going to do with our preferences? I feel we're a little in the dark here. They reached out for our dream list, but didn't give us any information.
I think it's the beginning of a process, Jill, that they will keep us involved with. So the next step would be to forward the list to them and see if they want to have a discussion.
I guess I don't share your presumption that that they have a process they're going to share with us. I think we need to reach out and see how we can participate in that process.
Yeah, I'm just basing that on how open they were about bringing up this idea, and recently any roadway projects that we've had discussions with them. So I think we should feel there's an opening and, try to drive through that.
I think we're saying the same things.
Okay, good. All right.
I would just add and concur with the statement earlier. If for some reason Prospect doesn't turn out to be viable, then I'd probably shift more towards Quaker Lane and Oakwood than Trout Brook. It seems like Trout Brook and North Main and South Main and Fern, they're all too close together.
Yeah. I agree with everyone. The final three needs to be spread out if that's the ranking. There's no sense of having them right up to each other. I think caller 860, you're about to say something. Ends in 35.
First statement, yes, I concur, and that's what we described on the Oakwood Quaker. Lopping Fern into there is a different designation and different discussion, because it's the east-west, not the north-south. So
yeah, that was my mistake, Colin.
No, that's all right. What I mean by that is I'd love the conversation on Fern versus Albany, for example.
Mm-hmm.
A pleasant thoroughfare, but that if well, and it's already started, right, with the roadway and how they're designated it. Albany, even if it wasn't a state road, is just going to be wickedly unsafe with the speeds it has and everything else. But Fern could be an amazing, all the way through Hartford, all the way to Mountain, alternative to Farmington, for example.
Yeah.
What's planned for Fern right now is it buffered bike lanes the whole way? We've got some buffered bike lanes. Is that what they're showing as we go further west? I'm not sure what the width is.
So I don't have the exact details in front of me. I know it was bike lanes, and then during the bridge project, there's nothing can happen during that section until the bridge project is completed. I think there's an update on that when we get to a little bit farther down the agenda, Sandy.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So moving, any other items related to just the 3 north-south and then the 3 east-west routes? Otherwise, we'll move to the next item.
This is Ethan Frankel. If I can put my 2 cents in again, I've said this before. I live up at Bishop's Corner, and I ride North Main Street to get south, and I ride Quaker to get south, and also Mountain Road. And I still feel very strongly that Quaker, that King, what's the name of that road again?
Trout Brook.
Trout Brook, thank you. Trout Brook is the most viable route because of the width of the road and because of the lower number of driveways and homes, and because of the work that's already being done on part of Trout Brook, and because it's flatter than North Main Street. So I just want to put my 2 cents in again for the sensibility of Trout Brook for the major north-south route. And Albany Avenue, I think, is not even worth looking at it at all, because it's just, besides being a state road, it's just crazy. There's no room. And I just don't see anything happening on Albany.
And how much?
Yeah,
I was going to ask, how much?
Okay, sorry.
When it comes to Trout Brook, right? We know where the Trout Brook Trail is. How much more of Trout Brook are we going to get with the Trout Brook Trail? That's a pretty wide trail, 10 feet wide through yards in certain portions. It's off-road when you get down towards the Elmwood side of town. It's almost all completely off-road. Do we want to put a dedicated, like protected bike lane on that when we already have the trail? Or do we want to add a second north-south route and just focus the trail on Trout Brook?
So,
I
Well, I was gonna,
consider the trail
this
as
is
part
Alan
of it.
I
Blazenstein.
think we're getting a little off
I think
topic,
it's-
so just want to pull it back because we're looking to identify 3 aspirational routes. Money necessarily isn't a cost. This is not on the town's to-do radar for tomorrow. It's what would be really ideal from a non-cost, non-construction project, non-massive overhaul concern to implement and looking forward, so I think for me stepping back and saying this would be the best based on how easy it would be to convert, I want to think of how great would this be if this was built like I dream it's going to be today, when we look at some of these routes, right? Ideally, the way I dream, it's not going to be an overpass like the Jetsons, but it'll at least be a road that has protection for motorists, but pedestrians as well as cyclists,
Yeah, and I wasn't talking cost. I mean, they're spending money right now to extend Trout Brook Trail.
Yeah.
When every phase of that is done, there's going to be a pretty safe pathway to go north and south on Trout Brook. Why not leave that as is and try to get an additional, if you will, 4th north-south route?
Okay, that makes a lot of sense,
Yeah,
Ryan.
I think,
So thank you.
Yeah, I think Trout Brook, first I want to second most of what Ethan said. I think Albany Avenue and New Britain Avenue are just, besides being state roads, they're just not, you're going to have to completely re-engineer those roads. They're so big now. Trout Brook, I think Trout Brook is very interesting because we already are going to have a system built there, and I agree that those trails will be excellent. What we should think about, though, is not just the north and south part, but the connections to other places. Like, for example, it would be great if you could connect from the Trout Brook Trail right into Bishop's Corner by some safe route, and right into West Hartford Center. I mean, right now, those connections are not very good. So that would be, I would just build on that. You already have that piece of network. That's one of the few pieces of network that's actually planned and almost constructed. So I would build around that.
Yep. So, Ethan, Alan, Ryan, I definitely hear where you're coming from, and thanks for elaborating on that. I'm going to jump to the next item, which is updates on roadway and trail projects. So Sandy has it itemed as specifically discuss proposed changes to LaSalle Road. But I'm going to try and share my screen. I think that's allowed, just because I think that would help this conversation. So there are planned changes for LaSalle Road.
Hey, Daniel, I was down in the center today and I noticed those changes are implemented. They are in place.
Okay.
I was surprised.
Well, I think we should discuss them. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yeah, it's very helpful.
When you start watching these YouTube videos back, you're like, I wish we had started presenting a little bit more. So this is LaSalle Road. I'll zoom out just for a second. Otherwise, it's very hard to see. North side, you have the restaurants. This is Starbucks is number 23, just for a point of reference. And then we have the corner here of LaSalle and Farmington Avenue. On the call Sandy and I have with Dwayne, there's an unanticipated amount of motorists turning left and heading the wrong way down LaSalle Road. So that's part one of the concern. The second part is the back-end parking is also an issue, and an issue in the sense of there's a number of residents' complaints for that, and the the bike lane entry points with the arrow seem to, they give a motorist that's traveling on Farmington Avenue a little bit of a cue that you can go this way. And what's happening is that they're seeing this, the assumption is, right, that they're seeing the arrow heading west. Is that west? It's not west. Where are we at now? South? It's heading south. And they're seeing this gap. There used to be a gap between the bike lane and the parking lane. A motorist traveling on Farmington Avenue takes a left, sees his arrow, and goes down this road. So real concern if you're a motorist using the correct direction. So what they decided was to get rid of the yellow marker. And this yellow marker currently follows guidelines for a bike lane, right? To separate a bike lane from oncoming traffic, the yellow is standard. The issue is this yellow line, again, for the motorists traveling on Farmington Avenue, in addition to this arrow pointing south, is causing people to travel down the wrong way. So they changed the yellow, which says eradicate, to it's just a white lane, a white line. Not changing the directional of this bike lane. However, they removed the arrow, which is located at the entrance and a few points later down. And then they brought the parking lane line to the bike lane. My initial concern is I just picture a car thinking that's as far as I need to go and remaining in the bike lane. My second concern is, this is kind of we're taking out what's required and just painting it white when they go from yellow to white. So we seem to be late noticed on this, which is just something that, I guess new to the position that kind of caught me off guard, right? So
Yeah.
So I want to bring that up. I think the visual helps and collect some feedback from you guys. And if this is the nice part is they're really considering this, this is permanent. So as season changes, this gets more use. For me, even knowing that this is a one lane, if I'm traveling down Farmington Avenue, I agree that this entrance is confusing. So the hope here is to reduce that confusion and have traffic going down the wrong way. But commission members, what are your thoughts?
I think all of the giant, do not turn left signs and things like that are hanging from the streetlights there should be more than enough. I don't understand how people aren't reading those and just making a left turn. They also hung some up on the other side, if you're coming down Farmington, that say no right turn, bicycles only. They hung up some signs there as well. And then the same thing goes for the back end parking. I mean, when you're coming down LaSalle, there's a bunch of signs along the way that say backup parking only with instructions on how to do it. And yet people still just decide to make this giant swing turn and park forward facing. And then so obviously people aren't reading the signs. And then the other part is I've never seen any of it enforced. I've seen plenty of people go the wrong way, past cops, people, hey, turn around, or people pull in. Maybe there needs to be some kind of enforcement so the message gets out there more. I have no idea.
Yeah. Has anyone driven down this road since it changed? Sandy, you mind talking about it, your experience?
Yeah, I've driven down. I've back in parked, which I was very cautious doing it because I'm not familiar with it. The one thing I think is a little unusual on this, and part of the reason there's some parking the wrong way, is it's unusual to be backing in it just seems like it's a really long distance to the parking on the west side. Although I guess it's no different really than the east side. You've got a bike lane in between the parking and but I go down there, I see people swinging wide all the time. About 50% of the cars are parked the wrong way. And really the intention and the reason they're doing the back-in parking is most people think that if you have angle parking with bike lanes, it's safer to have the back in. So that when the car is pulling out, which tends to be a faster maneuver, you can see the bicycles. Unlike when you pull straight into a space, when you back out, you tend to be going a little faster backing out, and your visibility is not that good. So I think it's really to be commended that the town is trying this. I think now that the double yellow line is gone too, it's much clearer that it's not a two-way road. I think that was part of what people were seeing.
Sorry, I was on mute.
They also have a bunch of Jersey barriers at the end
Yeah,
in Farmington now that they put up.
I gotta ask. I'll follow up with Dwayne about that because they put up. So to add on to Sandy's, they put up more signage about the correct way to back in park. There's some residents there's some people that visit West Hartford as well. That's a challenge getting used to that concept. I don't know how many other towns have back in angled parking, but if you only frequent West Hartford Center or you haven't experienced it a lot, it can be a learning curve. And then with the Jersey barriers, yeah, to me visually that adds more confusion to this intersection. I know it's there to tell you it's to alert you to something that's different but I'll follow up to see if there's anything more permanent to those Jersey barriers at that intersection.
What's really an improvement for pedestrians is with the one-way, you can cross at that corner for much longer part of the light cycle because when the Farmington Avenue traffic is going, they're just running parallel to you. They can't turn down LaSalle. So if you're walking along Farmington, it's much easier to cross the street there. You have more opportunity.
Yep. Okay. Did I miss anyone that wants to add some comments?
I'll just ask one quick question. What was the overriding goal of this?
To prevent motorists from traveling the wrong way down this one way, so taking a left into this onto LaSalle, and really that was the main goal, was to prevent that.
What was the goal of making it one way?
I'm sorry?
What was the goal of making it one way?
So they made it one way originally when COVID struck to allow restaurants to put seating out in the street. They basically took away a lane and everyone seemed to like it. I mean, even town residents, basically reached out and said, hey, you guys should make that one way permanently. And that's kind of where it came from.
Okay.
It also gave them the opportunity to put bike lanes in.
Nice. That makes sense.
They couldn't have done that otherwise.
Great.
But I'm going to go over some of the other items that we talked about with Dwayne. Is this the correct moment, Sandy? Just checking with you since you're still a resource and you're chair for the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah, that's what I would do now. Yeah. Are you waiting for me to do that, Daniel, or were you going to?
I'll do it. again, I just had to reset my internet, so it closed out everything that I had prepared. For future, I'll just save it to my desktop. That way we're not spending so much time waiting for me to load up. So, talked with Dwayne, Sandy and I talked with Dwayne Martin on the 5th. As you know, Dwayne Martin oversees the engineering and planning. Right now, he's the acting director of community development. And the town is discussing, reorganizing the community development going forward and talking about where engineering fits in regards to public works. So that's some to be determined items. Mark McGovern was the former director of community development. And again, Dwayne Martin is now acting director until they find a replacement. So North Main Street Bridge project, this is under construction. They just moved to stage 3. At the moment, all motor vehicle traffic on the west side is blocked off. Sidewalk and travel lanes. They're digging up the asphalt to make repairs to the bridge and repair the sidewalk and the wall. They expect to work through winter with a completion date July 2021. Right now, it's leaning closer to spring, and the engineering team will become more involved with the road diet as the spring approaches. Restriping is targeted to be complete prior to a repaving of the bridge, and there's a possible setback, not a setback, but they're looking at, if they're repaving, do they stripe prior to the repaving, or depend on the surface condition as it approaches, the time to do that? Do they repair the road and then adjust and then do the painting then? So the desire is not to put the road diet trial onto the new pavement, but test in the first before changing the pavement. So Sandy, I just want to let you jump in and make sure I capture that right.
Yeah, I think that was right. And, I had an opportunity to talk to the consulting firm that's doing the work just to verify that if the bridge work goes more quickly, will they be ready with the road diet trial? And they said they're developing the concepts right now. And so they would be ready if the bridge finishes in April, if the bridge finishes in July as proposed. Because our big concern is we don't want to go from a confined cross section with the bridge construction to the old 4-lane cross section and then back to the 3-lane. So that was reassuring. And it also sounded like if they need to repave, if we come out of the winter and the road is in such horrible shape that they need to repave immediately, they might put temporary markings down for the road diet trial. They're just a little nervous that there might need to be adjustments to the road diet. And it's hard if you remove permanent marks from a roadway, you can still see it. Depending on how the sun's shining, it gets confusing. I think everybody's seen that on roads. So I was really reassured with how they're proceeding.
And for everyone's awareness, this is the town of West Hartford. If you Google town of West Hartford engineering department, it'll bring you to another page, which is here. I just want to show this to everyone on the call. So when you get to the town of engineering department, you travel down the page a little bit. And if we jump into the one which has a bicycle on it, transportation and traffic, here we have bicycling, complete street sidewalks, and then we have the North Main Street road diet. And from here, there's some new resources that were just updated. I believe the two that were most updated was the traffic volume network as well as the crash analysis. So again, on this page, you can see a live timeline, but these are new materials that I definitely encourage you to take a look at and read. The crash analysis is from the Yukon, which uses a system called Tableau. which is a pretty robust software, so you can tailor these results. This is what's presented on through our town's website. You can see it goes by year, and then it breaks it down to collision type. I don't want to spend too long on this, but it's a little frustrating where collision type is not, these other items are not broken down by year as well. So you have the year capture, but then you don't know when they collected this data. You know, if anyone's great, it'd be nice to break that out farther just so we understand what's going on. Again, I just wanted to show you this on the town website, engineering department, and you can get here by going into the section for transportation and traffic.
Thank you.
Yep. Moving on to the next item, the Fern Street Bridge project. So this is where we have a little bit of overlap about the earlier discussion. So the project itself is 90% designed. Right now they're in a holding pattern due to federal and state permits, which are still outstanding. The next step in the Fern Street Bridge project is easement, both temporary and permanent, for the changes. They will have town council hearings. The estimated time would be mid to late summer 2021 for these town meetings, not for the project to be complete. The project will impact traffic flow. So this has a little bit of an overlap going onto the road diet. Because the project will have traffic restricted on the east-west route, is that they hope to have the Fern Street Bridge project take place after the road diet trial. And again, just to give you a backtrack on the timeline, so the road diet is looking towards, I guess, summer 2021. They're not going to start bidding for this Fern Street Bridge project until summer 2021. So in case you're thinking about overlap, there may be that chance, and the intent is not to have a negative impact on the east-west route during the road diet trial as well. Construction planning, the town is developing a tentative list for road paving. It's not finalized. It will be shared with us in February. There are some roads for awareness, super high level: Fern Street, West Side Mountain to Willow, Fernbrook to North Main Street, Asylum and Fern, Mohican Drive, as well as Oakwood Ave, Park to Flatbush. Again, it's for awareness. We don't have details on that yet. Just put it on your list of things to look at while you're walking through town. The town is working on a Complete Streets annual review. They are expected to deliver the annual review to us end of this month. Update on bike map. We do need to connect with Todd Dumais and the commission. I'll send an email, but I think we should really get into this bike map update and make that, column part of your 5 to 7 priorities. Update on bike parking. We'll get into that a little bit later, so I'll hold on that. New Park Avenue Complete Streets improvement. So if you haven't been on New Park Avenue, a lot going on, a lot of development, great connector for Trout Brook. So field survey is completed. Signage in public right-of-way is done. Town engineer Jim Brennan is working on the road construction. Outreach has been made to organizations such as the Elmwood Business Association and the Design District. The town will reach out to the commission as this develops further. Once the town will reach out once the preliminary designs are complete. So I just want to clear that up. Goal is to finish the design calendar year 2021. So we will not see any ground being dug up this year for the New Park New Park Avenue Complete Streets improvement. Trout Brook Trail, 4 remaining sections. So phase 3, Park Road to Jackson Avenue. That's right behind me here. So they are sending letters to the 13 houses. The impact of the Trout Brook Trail in this phase. It's town property, but if you're a property owner, this is something that you would be used to mowing your lawn and part of your land. So they sent out 13 letters. They are scheduling a virtual meeting for that, I believe, this week. Permits are likely not required, and a public information will be scheduled. Phase 5, Farmington Avenue to Fern, and then Phase 6 is Fern to Duffield. This is partially located on state land. They have submitted maintenance and easement agreement. Last week, Matt Hart signed and sent a letter to the state. So they believe resolved the mowing concerns and emergency response concerns to this part of the trail. Looking forward to summer and fall of 2021. So Phase 5 is ready for bid. Phase 6, once the state has agreement, they will submit for final design to CROG, C-R-C-O-G. So the remaining section is Duffield Drive to Asylum Avenue. Jim Brennan has done some preliminary design work, but this will be ETA likely 2022. And the town is interested in a phase north of Asylum. I'll wrap up these last items. Just want to take a quick pulse check. How's everyone doing? Any questions on what I just covered real quick?
No question.
Okay. So semi-diverters on 4 Mile and Newport. This overlaps pedestrian bicycle safety as well as motorists. From a traffic standpoint, it works well. They're going to keep it through the winter. Riggs Road has increased car traffic. They estimate about 300 cars per day, which sounds like a lot. If you break it down, it's a few cars per minute. To me, still sounds like a lot. Expanded outdoor dining will return to LaSalle Road in the spring. LaSalle experienced, so this goes into our discussion earlier. So they're going to go back into outdoor dining springtime. I think it's a great attraction for the town. I think the bike lanes are a huge improvement, as well as the back-end parking. They've addressed the concerns related to this in what we just shared earlier in the meeting. Traffic signal improvements for pedestrians. So Prospect and Kane, they're waiting for equipment. Some of these items are delayed due to 2020, right? So they're waiting on some of the equipment to do the updates. This will be audible and vibration updates for the walking units, walking signal units. Prospect Shopping Center at McDonald's, it's operational and has an exclusive pedestrian phase. I think it's a great improvement. Prospect Mountain Fern Hunter, some equipment has been installed. Finished the sidewalk. The gap in the sidewalk between Holbrook and Mountain, this is if you're heading east to west, this gap will be addressed in 2021. So there's a sidewalk gap, which Mary Ellen pointed out as well. Farmington and Mountain intersection. So sign bracket has been delayed. So they have to hang the signs so they need a bracket to hang the signs. There should be new signage at this intersection in about a week. And traffic calming program worked by Greg Summer. They're going to do some refinements on what they provided us earlier, and they'll provide us update on the scoring decisions for those. That ends the updates on the roadway projects agenda item. Before I close this item out, anybody have any questions? Lots to do with 2021. So
yeah, hi, Chair Johnson. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thanks.
Yeah, hi. Hi, my name is Jay St. I'm sorry if this is an inappropriate moment. I'm not sure if members of the public are invited to comment right now, or if it's only commission members.
See, 7:56, you know, if you got a couple minutes, go for it.
Okay, I wanted to just say hello to everybody. This is my first meeting. I'm really glad to hear all of this information and glad to meet you all virtually. A couple of things I just want to make a comment on agenda items that occurred before. The first one is that the Quaker Lane idea as a north-south on our 3 aspirational is one of my recommendations. I would love someday to work with you all to do a demonstration bike lane on Quaker Lane all the way from Fern down to the bottom of the city, of the town boundary, and we could put traffic cones on the on the parking lane stripe and do a weekend demonstration project and see if people like it. That's one comment I wanted to throw in there. Another one is on Main Street volume. I participated in a very similar road diet project in a different jurisdiction where we had 30,000 cars in a 24-hour period on a roadway. And one of the reasons that we were able to argue for the road diet there is that we showed the public and the town engineers with very solid data that a 3-lane with a center turn lane moves much more volume than a 4-lane roadway with no turn lane. And that's a pretty accepted data point around the thing. So I'd love it if we could get our comment into the town engineer that, you know, in making any kind of a decision about 3 or 4 lanes, that's a really important point. And also, I wanted to hear more from some folks, maybe offline someday, about the woman who passed recently, who had been an advocate for North Main bicycles and pedestrian safety. I really would love to follow up and honor her memory by completing that project. So those are my comments. Thanks everybody for putting up with me for a minute. I'm glad to meet you all.
That's great.
No, thank you very much. And I missed your first and last name.
My name is it's Jay Stange. The last name is just like Strange, except there's no R. And I live at 177 Auburn Road in West Hartford.
So thank you very much, Jay. And I think you bring up great points. I live on Quaker, so I'm always a fan to ride down Quaker. And, you know, please send me an email because I definitely want to connect you with a couple other residents that are on the call. You know, really great looking into the crash data. I know initially the North Main Street, when it came to 4 versus 3, the increased traffic flow was a topic that we brought up. And I want to continue the momentum that you brought and the interest. So definitely follow up, all right?
All right, roger that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So report on survey. Colin, do you want to take that one?
I don't know that Ken and I, Joe, we don't have an update. It was in an approval pattern, I thought. Is Ken on the call?
No, Ken, I communicated with Ken early last week. He was going out of town on Friday, I think. He addressed comments that came in from Todd Dumais, the town comments, and incorporated those. So I think the survey is ready to go, but it sounds like maybe he didn't circle back to the committee to share it, maybe. But you know what? The link, it's the same link. So if anybody has the survey link, if you go to that, you'll see the most up-to-date survey.
So what feedback do we have, Sandy, on what next steps either we need to take as a subcommittee, or is this, that I didn't really get, because it was kind of in the hands of being reviewed and approved.
Yeah, I think it's probably very close to being ready to go. It maybe is ready to go, so we'll work with the town in getting it out. We can send it to our email list, but then the town can use some of its distribution things to get it out more broadly. They offered to do that.
So who would lead that next communication, and to who?
Well, I think, yeah, we're dependent on Ken getting back
Okay.
and
Does he have
then
a feel
following
for
up.
it? Yeah, does he have a feel for it, Sandy? If Ken and Jill and I got with him, would he have a feel for how to get it to the next step since he's got
Ken,
the muscle memory from the past? So, Jill, what if you and I and Ken, try for in the next 2 weeks a meeting? I'll send an email out about it.
That's great. That's great. And Ken has done this before, so he knows the tricks about where it can be posted, even in addition to the town website.
So the goal would be that we actually have it in place or a firm launch date in place by the next meeting.
Yes.
Maybe it'll even be launched.
That's,
I mean, that's possible, isn't it?
But by in place, I mean, it might have it launched or a date to launch it by the next meeting.
Sounds good.
Good.
Awesome. And just to follow up for anyone in the call's awareness, so the survey would go out to residents, visitors to West Hartford to get feedback on the bicycle infrastructure, the pedestrian infrastructure, and some comments where they'd like to see improvements and maybe stuff we're missing on these calls. Unless you call in or send us an email, you might be a person that would fill out a survey really quick, and that'd give us a lot of great feedback to help us as a commission align our goals to what you as a resident need.
Thanks.
Yep. No, thank you, Colin. Update on planning projects.
That's me.
Yep.
So there's some exciting things coming up on the planning side. There's an accessory dwelling unit zoning change that's been proposed. And one of the reasons that's important to us is accessory dwelling units can enable people to age in place, for one thing, make a home more affordable if your garage could be converted to living space, either for you or for rental. But it also adds density, and density, just by its nature, sort of increases the number of people walking and the potential for walking. So I'll keep an eye on where that goes, and maybe at some point we would want to provide some testimony in support. We can think about that, whether you think that falls within our purview. The other thing that's happening is the planning department has put together a strategic plan for the implementation of the plan of conservation and development. And we all, worked with them a bit on that plan of conservation and development, reviewed what they put together. There are a number of items in that implementation that have to do with pedestrian and bicycle facilities, pedestrian and bicycle safety. So I think there will be a lot of opportunities for us to work with the town and move things in a positive direction through that plan implementation. I told Daniel that I'm willing to continue sort of watching what's happening on the planning side, bringing it back to the commission. But as things move forward with the implementation of the plan of conservation and development, it would be great if there are other people on the commission who are interested in focusing on that a little bit. So that's something to think about too. We could maybe have a little committee that works on that. That's all I have.
Thanks, Sandy. Next last item on old business is bike parking. Jill, just for awareness, Jill is signing off. She has to step out.
Yeah, I have to leave. I sent you an email earlier, but Alan is going to report on our current situation with the bike parking.
Okay. Alan, the floor is yours.
I'll try to be very brief. So we had a discussion, Jill and I did, and I looked at the letter and that come back in response from the town about the proposed, I think there were about 15 or whatever parking spaces proposed, and there were some different comments. So there was also something about possibly reaching out to businesses or whatever on the. So I think that, Jill and I struggled a little bit with what is the responsibility of the commission as far as that goes. I thought it might be a bad idea to, we could draft an email or whatever on this and to reach out to, there's a couple of community associations like in the Park Road area, and I think there's one in Elmwood in the affected area, and to present the project as, not to say, we hope you don't mind if we do this, so we're telling, but to present it as, hey, we think this is a good thing, and, the town already has bike parking in West Hartford Center, but these other districts are not really, right now covered by bike parking. And, here are some of the proposals we have, and would you like to give us some feedback on that? And so I would want to do that somewhat in a positive way, but I don't really think it's our position. I don't really think Jill and I thought it was our position to sort of get approval from anybody for doing this.
I think what's changed, Alan, too, is Dwayne mentioned they have some bicycle parking structures that they can be ready to install if we pick a few locations on town property. Did I get that correct, Sandy?
Yeah, they've applied for receiving 10 bike racks, the post and ring bike racks. And they were hoping that we could give them some help in terms of what's the priority. If you have 10 new racks, where would you put them?
Okay. Well, that was the other half of the discussion. So we can go through that list. We'll go through the list that the town gave. I'd like to go back and visit. I picked out some of those spots a while ago. I'd like to go back to some of them where they said, oh, this could be a problem, this could be a problem. And I just want to see, I obviously totally understand they can't put them on private property and whatever. And you don't want to obstruct parking or put the people in danger. So obviously those things are pretty obvious, but within that, can it be, like I had never intended for it to be those to the exact spots, but can you move something a little bit this way or that way and obtain a parking space? But, so yeah, we can provide, I think we can give a list, within a week or two, you can send out a list of the, some priorities.
Yeah, and I think another option to consider is if you just drew like a little radius on a map, we would want bike parking within this distance of this location. Is there any town property that can be utilized for this?
Yes. Yeah, and I understand that one of the things, there are a couple of spots on Park Road where, quite honestly, there aren't very many businesses that would be people are going to go there by bike. So you might not feel like that's necessarily something, but I also don't want to build the bike racks only based on the current businesses because, you have a coffee shop here, but maybe next day down the street there'll be an ice cream shop or something that's not there now or something else. So, yeah, that's a very good point, Dan. We should, I kind of tried to do that when I made the map, but we'll go through it and I'll go back and revisit it and just see if there's spots that seem to be, suitable within the range of the places we provided. I certainly feel that especially Park Road is really in need of bike parking. And
yeah, and that's new information to us about. There's new information to us about the parking structures, the bike parking. So it's better information, and I don't know why I thought of a field of dreams of if you build bike parking, the businesses will come. But yeah, thanks for working on that, Alan.
You're welcome. Thanks. Yeah, that's all I have on that. So we'll come up with a priority list.
Sure. Next on the item, so we got an email from a resident on Hunter.
Actually, I think this is someone that Alan knows. Alan's wife sent that.
Good thing I set it up. I set that up okay. So, yeah.
Well, we don't live on Hunter. That's the only problem. Unless my wife is keeping a separate residence I don't know about.
So for the awareness of everyone on the call, the Sarah, just for purpose of Sarah Frey, a resident West Hartford, asked for more information about and request a new crosswalk signal on Fern Street. And there's currently a crosswalk there, but the request is to modify this crosswalk or to look at better ways to to highlight to motorists that it is a crosswalk. This is on Mountain Road between Walton and Glenwood. If you leave 44, you're heading south on Mountain Road to Farmington Avenue. This is before you get to the little park on the right. You know, personally, that's one of my, I run that route in the morning and use that crosswalk to switch sides, and definitely understand where Sarah Frey is getting at so far as it's not signaled very well. There's a lot of cars that do not pay attention to that. So the town responded. So James Frey for the town of West Hartford, they're going to take a deeper look at this crosswalk. To quote James Brennan, you mentioned driver behavior and drivers not stopping for pedestrians, which is a complaint we occasionally receive at locations around town. Driver behaviors are difficult to correct. Paraphrasing, we plan to sit down early in the new year and discuss upcoming traffic. And I say early in the new year because this email was received on December 17th. Discuss upcoming traffic projects, including this intersection. If we find additional physical measures are needed, we would then look at different options, which could include a flashing light type system. Please note that the construction of a complete traffic light at this location is very unlikely. That was the town's response to Sarah. All right. I don't know if we have anybody on town staff in attendance. I can't see.
You know what? Maybe Helen, it says West Hartford Community Leisure Services there, I think down in the corner. That's maybe Helen or Mark.
I think that's Andrea.
Yes, it's me.
Oh,
No, but wait, you're up in, there's WebEx Leisure Social and there's West Hartford Community.
And
That's you
the
both?
TV. The other
Oh,
one's TV.
okay.
Okay.
I just want to give an awareness for everyone. The Dwayne Martin attendance is every March and September meeting. So that would be 2 meetings from now, and then September. Greg Summers' attendance is planned for June and December. So, you know, I'll follow up with everyone on the commission. You know, I think we should make March a heavy engineering meeting and September, and then for Greg Summers, June and December. So knowing this ahead of time, we can tailor the meeting a little bit to make sure we address items that really impact their input. All right. Before we go to update from Bike West Hartford, James Stange, I can't find you in an email anywhere. So if you could email me, my email address is reachdanieljohnson@gmail.com. It's REACH DanielJohnson@gmail.com. So I can follow up with you. All right, updates from Bike West Hartford.
Yeah, hi, this is Ethan Frankel. I was excited to hear that Jay Stange joined us tonight, as well as I've been excited to hear about the other new people that have been coming to the meetings and who are, you know, Jay, I've been following him on social media, and he's somebody who gets things done in the area, and I think he's going to be a great person to have in West Hartford and have involved. So thank you all of you new people for coming. So not much to report from Bike West Hartford, except for we are quickly moving forward with discussion about a memorial for Mary Ellen Thibodeau, who passed away, and who, as someone mentioned, did so much for moving the North Main Street project forward. So we're going to be meeting soon. I don't have a date yet, with Sherry Cantor, Matt Hart, and the director of ASD, the School for the Deaf, to talk about possibly like a memorial bench or something like that, perhaps right on North Main Street and maybe on their property. And that's pretty exciting because Mary Ellen did so much to move this forward. She pretty much spearheaded the whole thing. And that would be great if we could get that done. And Bike West Hartford has some money. We don't have our treasurer, Scott Franklin, on the line tonight, but he's in charge of that. And I know we have something, and we'll have to see what it is we're going to need for money. But anyway, the only other thing for me was that I got an email from the guy who's from the band The Score yesterday, who always has been playing at the past 4 Center Streets events, and he's so great. He wants to know, are we doing Center Street this year? And his band is in, right? He wants to get it on the calendar. So we have no idea what's going to be happening at the end of August, but we can hope that we can have our 5th annual Center Streets this year at the end of summer, and we'll see what happens. So that's it for Bike West Hartford. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. And Dan, is Dan Firestone on the call? No, he didn't join. So I don't know. We don't have an update for Cycling with Age.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh. Hey, welcome, Dan. Any updates for Cycling Without Age? Did I hear Dan, or is that just me in my head hitting replay?
I thought I heard him too, but doesn't seem like he's out there now.
Yeah, I think it was the 860 number that lit up when he spoke.
We'll follow up with Dan for the next meeting. Just want to see. So that ends our meeting for tonight, the 11th. I'll follow up with the commission on, I want to get a shared drive. I use Google Docs. It's probably the easiest one for me. We're not going to make decisions in this folder, but the idea is just to have material that you can grab quickly. I do use Sandy's notebook quite frequently, but I like the idea of sharing material as we go through it during the WebEx. That way everyone's looking at the same thing at the same time, and I think helps point out things much easier as we go through them, especially engineering plans and any items. So I want to use that drive as the shared folder as a resource for us going forward. The next meeting is scheduled for Monday, February 8th at 7 p.m. So we hope you can attend. We have about 10 minutes left. Any items we should bring up for new business coming into February that we didn't have a chance to discuss? Dan, I feel like your number is trying to talk, but it's just not getting there. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great night. It's 8:19 p.m. on the 11th. Look forward to talking with you all soon. Have a great night. Happy New Year. I didn't start off me with Happy New Year, but welcome to 2021. And glad to see everyone. So talk to you soon. Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.